It's Friday. It's 9 a.m. It's 9 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. Well, it's almost 9:01 probably. Friday, the 27th of June, AD 2025, here on the live stream from where I am. Obviously, it's later for you guys because there's a delay on the stream. It just takes some time to get out there, maybe 10, 20 seconds or so. And then if you're listening to the replay or the podcast of the Hake Report, a podcast from Substack. Did you know? And also Punchie TV now podcasts, starting with episode 45, our most recent episode, from Substack.com. It's that one is rebuildingtheman.substack.com. Gonna have a fun, loosey-goosey the Hake Report. Did you know that that if you are a member of the Dodgers team or the Lakers team, you're not a Laker, you're not a Dodger, you are a Dodgers, you are a Lakers, FYI. That is grammar from my, I am tempted to dox his name, his last name, but I shall call him my geometry teacher. You are a Lakers, you are a Dodgers. So just FYI, you're not a Laker, you're not a Dodger. But I don't know what that has to do with anything. Beautiful scenery over here from Venice Beach, actually. Almost Marina del Rey. And maybe it even is Marina del Rey. It's like the south part or whatever part of further down from Santa Monica. Further down on Venice Beach. But, yeah, I disavow, or at least disclaim, everything said on the Hake Report by me, because I don't represent myself. I don't even represent myself. And from you guys, you people in the chat, and you people in the super chats, and you people on the phone lines, some of you guys are on hold already. You are welcome to call in. 1-888, those of you who are not on hold yet. 1-888-775-3773. I do appreciate it. And so I will try to get to y'all. There's people who've been trying to get through for days. And so I see you, you are seen. And I will, and you shall be heard if you persist. If you throw up your hands and give up, you self-deport from the Hake Report, that I understand as well, and I bid you farewell. But I had Crishaun, the Dawn of the Misfit Nation on. I had a long conversation with CJ in Texas, Tejas. I always get your, I will read your coffees, buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report, or just go to thehakereport.com. Thank you guys for the support of Hake. If, let's say, you don't necessarily have anything to say or whatever, you know what you can do is support Bond. They're doing a fundraiser right now. You know, summertime. 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 Not the Sublime song or whatever. I'm talking about, what is it, Miles Davis or something? I don't know, but it's nice. It's nice. Oh, people are cold out there. You can turn it up, but you have to ask Omid for permission. Omid and Jesse have to work it out. Omid, you look cold. Well, Omid and Jesse have to work out the AC situation, because I'll just acquiesce to what they settle on. Anyway, what's up, Tyrannosaurus Rex? I will, man. Thank you for your highlighted question. I'll add that into the super chats. In fact, let me respond to that right now. Yeah, but okay, before I respond to that, everything you hear on Hake, take it with a grain of salt, okay? Take it with a grain of salt. Look at that beautiful bird. We don't necessarily know what we're talking about. Sometimes the media that we cite, the sources that we cite, don't know what they're talking about and stuff. And also, I definitely disavow slander and character assassination, defamation, and stuff like that. There's a lot of personal criticism that goes out sometimes here. I don't like it. I let CJ levy his criticisms of Mark yesterday, and he had some. I find stuff that he says interesting. Okay, it's not personal. I don't like people to take stuff personally. But you guys do what you want to do. Okay, so yesterday I had Crishaun the Dawn of the Misfit Nation on, and I find him an interesting guy. He's been on as a regular guest frequently. He's a bit of a normie, if you will, when it comes to the Israel thing. But he also looks stuff up, okay? So whatever. And I like having him on. I wasn't even necessarily thinking about the Israel thing with regard to him, but I have him on when I can. I have Big Bump on when I can. I have Dylan Burns on sometimes. I have Omar, the third rail with Omar, very anti-Israel, by the way. Or very critical of Israel, at least the Zionists. He's a Muslim. He's a fun New Yorker. I really enjoy him. And I'll have many people, different people and opinions on. And so, and I actually got some suggestions from Popcorn's Thump Keg. He wants me to have that one professor or whatever that guy is, Mark Lamont Hill. I would love to talk to Mark Lamont Hill. That would be so interesting. JLP debated Mark Lamont Hill many times. When I say many times, it seemed quite regular. Before and during my early days working for Bond, he was on with, he was a regular on, those two were regular on Sean Hannity's radio show. Sean Hannity. And so Mark Lamont Hill's been around a while. And so, yeah, it would be quite interesting. I would avoid the N-word topic because he's so emotional about it, you know? I'm not... The one thing that I didn't like about who's that guy? There's this fit guy, as opposed to fresh guy, competitor. I didn't like his gleeful, demonic, impish calling of a chimp of Mark Lamont Hill. I didn't see it at the time, and so he did this just mocking Mark Lamont Hill for just freaking out, making a fool of himself, you know, emotional beta woman out of himself. It didn't need that. It didn't need that. It was not necessary. It made you look bad, Myron Gaines. But he's a young man and he's not Christian, so do you. But I think it took away, honestly. You should have just been a dignified man, in my opinion, and let the guy make a fool of himself and you not do anything. Because he, like, showed, I don't know, it was, it was childish, it was malicious, it was nasty and immature. But hey, we all have moments, right? You kidding me? That's why I have to disclaim the Hake report. The Hake report does not represent Bond or JLP or the network, or even Hake. So, but right on, shout out. I'm referring to an interview between Myron, Lilly Gaddis, the upcoming guest on The Fallen State, Mark Lamont Hill, dream future guest on the Hake report. It's a dream. And that guy who had JLP on, Pierce Morgan. And it was all over this N-word saying mother who was being harassed on a playground by a person, African guy, I guess, with a phone camera, harassing her for allegedly saying the N-word to a black young man / child / little thief. She's like, mind your own business. Yeah, mind your own business. That boy does not care about being called. He's not going to be traumatized by being called the N-word. You don't have to protect. That's not protecting children, protecting them from being called the N-word. That's not what protecting children is. Protecting children means not transitioning them. As the Give, Send, Go Christian founder, co-founder, owner, whatever he is, co-owner, told to Piers Morgan. And it's protecting children means not killing them in the womb. Protecting children doesn't mean, brutally punish a woman and don't let her raise money for the public character lynching for saying the N-word to a black child. You know what I mean? That's not protecting children. That is doing harm to a child. That is making a child. The child probably didn't care, and now he's probably brainwashed into caring about the N-word from this experience by everybody being like when a kid falls and he's fine or she's fine, but then the mother or the other people will be like, "Oh, are you okay?" And then this child starts crying. You're brainwashing and encouraging the child to fall into emotions over something that the child should take in stride. Lame, ridiculous, phony, Christian critic, Piers Morgan. You guys know what I'm talking about? I'm ranting. So, and Crishaun knows that stuff. He was pro saying the N-word more than Hake is. I'm more mature now. N-word drama. So anyway, guests, you know. So that's the thing, and we like to bring together the Israel lovers, the Israel normies, the pro-Israel normie Christians with the anti-Israel red pill, J-pill Christians, whatever, and the Jews, because there's Jews who listen to Hake, shout out, and there's pro-Jew Jews and there's anti-Jew Jews. And we like to bring them all together, and the flat earthers and the ball-tards, and we love everybody. And it's hopefully not hippie fake love. It's hopefully towards real Christian love where we don't hit, spiritually speaking. You know what I mean? This is a fellowship, hey, as Lady Lewis says. I call him Lady Lewis because everybody loves Mark's insults, except for some. Mark called him Lady Lewis instead of Lincoln Lewis. So 1-888-775-3773. And let's have a nice show, shall we? What's up, Coffee Talk with Sandra? It's about... Hey, look at these snails. Are those snails? Yeah, they're snails. Anyway, guys, I think that this should be okay. Just make sure. Bring that down a touch. It is Friday, and it is the A.J. Gallardo original theme song of the Hake Report. And so I hope you enjoy. Look at those snails. Let's just get right on with the show! Enjoying the show, the snail in the scenery if you're watching the video, and the sound of my voice. Is that horrible? Sweet. Call in.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La 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 la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I'm fine. I'm wearing an orange Henley. It's not a prison shirt, okay? I'm not headed to prison that I know of. Although you never know, right? You never know. Heaven forbid. I don't know. What's up, buddy? 1205, Dolphin Spirit 22, Age of Inversion, F and Super Trucker. And evil is still real. Hey. What did I do? No, it's just my hand. Okay. And thank you, Pastor Shoutout, for raiding the stream over here. Very nice. You know, I'd like to get to a call real quick. I know I always do. Let's get to Lucas out of California here patiently on hold. What's up, Lucas? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Hake? How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing fine, of course.
Yeah.
I wanted to say it was crazy about Sunday. I learned something in a weird way. It was kind of trippy because so I was watching church on YouTube, and then I saw that, and then the next day, not that.
Stay close to your phone. I'm cranking you, but go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Maybe so. Just stay close to your regular phone, and we'll.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and the next night, I went to sleep. I had a dream where it's not like Jesse, like I saw him die or whatever, but he was just already mentally like in my head in the dream, like he was dead. And then like I realized it, and I was like, whoa, like like this thing like dropped in my chest. And when I woke up, then I was thinking about the dream, and I literally, and I know this might sound gay, but I literally like I felt like alone, like, and it was a weird thing. And I'm like, whoa, like I have to overcome. It's almost like, oh, this person's here. If anything, like I have like need to ask a question, or I need to, get help with something, like, oh, this guy, I can go to this guy. But
right.
then but I was just like, oh, he's dead, but he's not. But
right.
It's just
but
like,
you had a dream that he died.
I had a dream that he was just, he was dead. Like I didn't see it or anything in the dream. It's just like, it was just already known. And I remembered about it in the dream, and I'm like, oh shoot, and I felt alone, and it was kind of crazy. And I wanted to ask you, like, did you did you feel anything? Like, did you have those thoughts, like, whoa, like, what if he actually died? And like did that ever go through your mind or something?
No. I did have thoughts of concern, like, what is it? I had thoughts about what it was that made him fall out, but I didn't think that far in terms of anybody dying.
Yeah,
him dying.
No, I have dumb dreams. My dreams are too vivid,
and I definitely didn't dream about it, but I would imagine that some people would, because he's an influential person in a lot of people's lives, so definitely.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't put. Are you putting stock into dreams or what? I don't necessarily remember my dreams, actually, if I don't make a point of remembering them.
Yeah, well, no, but this was significant. My dreams are really vivid. Like, been like the past 2 years, they've been very vivid.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. I like, and that's a thing that, like how do you take dreams? Like, do you ever have dreams and then like they kind of like give you when you wake up, it kind of gives you feelings, and like you have to like overcome it, like
on occasion, on not very commonly, but yes. Yeah, but I'm not into dreams though.
Yeah, same. No, I'm not either. Yeah, but I had.
And I definitely understand you would have vivid dreams because you're like going through a lot in your mind. It's not that you're going through a lot necessarily in your life, but you are going through, like, you're in different situations in your life, and it's putting you in your head, and so that's putting you into a state of, when you're in your head a lot, you would have, like, dreams and scares and emotions and mess.
It was a really good teaching for me, like what happened with Jesse, because it literally, and then the dream helped solidified it, is because, like, I'm like, whoa, wait, like, I am alone, like, no matter what, like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like I have to work on myself, like, only I can help myself, like.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was a really good learning experience, so.
Nice.
It was a blessing in disguise, you know, yeah.
Cool.
And also, I want to say to the people in the chat that, like, try to make jokes about you, you are in the corner in church, and, like, you know, you're handling the stream and the channels and everything. So, but if you were where Nick was at, you would have done the same thing. All right, but people try to, like, say, like,
I didn't take it personally or anything. Yeah. It was funny because, like, I sometimes get overly engrossed in taking notes to where I miss what's going on, and I miss part of what's even said. So
exactly.
So, you know, whatever.
Yeah, no, you're working. No, I've been in church. I see you. Yeah, you're literally working, typing away. You're doing everything on the computer, or the laptop. But yeah. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Right on, man. Appreciate it. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. You have a good day. Good night.
Bye. Lucas in California. Yeah, don't be so attached. Because it's like, it's not love. I have a few super chats that I'd like to hit just to make sure that I get to everything, you know. Over on buymeacoffee.com, I know that there was one that came in, and on Streamlabs, Lin Yun Chin says 2 hours, 7 minutes, 5 seconds, yesterday's show. I believe it was. Oh, no, it might have been Jesse's show yesterday. I think it was. Yeah, breathing through your mouth. He calls it gasping. Yeah, because he called it, what Bill Lockwood does is gasping. And says, no, I don't. I don't call mouth breathing gasping. I claim it induces gasping. Yeah, breathing through your mouth, eventually you're going to start gasping. Trashwood, as he calls him, gasped at 26:06 on yesterday's JLP show. Just a few minutes in, right? Just before saying very good when he's maybe asked how he's doing. 26:44 is a heavy gasp, lighter at 26:52, 26:55, 27. 2 to 6 second interval is his rate, says Lin Yun Chin. And Lin Yun Chin is very sensitive to these things. What you focus on becomes important. You know what? There's a host, a competitor of mine, who also will aggressively speak. And I'm not talking about whom you're thinking that I'm talking about when I'm speaking about aggressively speaking. It's not that competitor. But I'm talking about a different competitor about whom I rarely talk, but sometimes. And he'll say this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and that I can relate to the irritation with that lineage, and it's not displaying good inner stillness. And it's also gross, irritating. I really relate sometimes a little bit to Lin Yun Chin, who is black and Asian, and he's got to be part white. If you're Jamaican, you're part white, right? If you're Asian, it's a toss-up, right? Nice. Okay, but there was another super chat / coffee from Cesar or Caesar or Cesar. 3 coffees. Sup, Hake? I should be able to watch the whole stream today. Win AJ Gallardo version. It's actually Gallardo, so it's 2 R's. But thanks. Yeah, I agree. Something about the acoustic guitar sounds so soothing. Smiley. It was written and performed and recorded on Christmas Eve in the mountains. Nice. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you, Caesar or Cesar, with your 3 coffees. Very cool. And you know, there may have been, I feel like there was other stuff. Yeah, there was. I saw one from T Flying Monkey, for example. T Flying Monkey did a follow-up super chat. Somehow he did it on the JLP show. And Evil is Still Real did a few others as well. Evil is Still Real over on Rumble. Paul also thought he might have been talking. Oh, here, let me biggin myself. It's not a word. Enlarge, whatever. Paul also thought he might have been talking to a demon after his so-called talk with Jesus. So yesterday I was on with Crishaun, the Dawn of the Misfit Nation on the Hake Report here. And we got a call from Anthony in SoCal, I believe, who told a story about like Muhammad or somebody. And one of these Muslim guys saw Allah or somebody, or maybe it was some guy saw Muhammad because he's supposed to be all big and good. And he thought he was demon possessed or saw a demon. Pardon me, those who were distracted by my touching my hands. I had this thing that looks like it feels weird, like I got a bite or something on my hand. So that's all. I'm just, and then I got in my head about it. But anyway, yeah, he thought he saw a demon. So did Paul also think that he might have been talking to a demon after his so-called talk with Jesus? He claims that, and I don't know if he's just putting that out there, kind of mocking Paul, or if he actually read that somewhere. Because I don't think that it was in the Bible like that, unless I missed something, I'm missing something. Or maybe it's in other texts, because there's other texts where he says that Paul shoved a guy down the stairs and, I don't know, all kinds of stuff, even after his supposed conversion, as Evil is Still Real calls it. I'm a Paul avower. He's a Paul denier, okay? I avow Paul. He denies Paul. Nice. Paul, Muhammad, and Joseph Smith all pretty much have the same story. Okay, so Paul was the original one, though. They're copycats, right? Because Muhammad came like 600 years later. Joseph Smith, like 1,000 or 2,000, I don't know, 1,500 years later or whatever. 1,800 years later, I don't know. When did Joseph Smith come up with that stuff? Mormons. Shout out to the Mormons. They've always been kind of decent, mostly white people in and family, big families, mostly in my life. A bit nicey nice, like I'm one to talk, but nice. And T Fly Monkey responding after Crishaun made the claim that there are other countries with a lobby in Washington, not just Israel. He said, name the countries with lobbies other than Israel if it's a lie that they are the only one. And he looked it up. Okay, it is a lie that they're the only one. Just looked it up. Still, it's only lobbies that it showed are all Middle East and Ukraine, says T-Fly Monkey 45. And somehow that went to Jesse's. I guess he wasn't able to super chat mine, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it was referring to. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. I'm pretty sure T-Fly Monkey is not a ma'am. Nice. All right. Sweet. Alex in California is on the line over here. Alex, thank you for calling and holding, man. What's up? Alex.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hold on, let me turn my car off and everything. How you doing there?
Doing well, man.
So let's see here. I have finally cracked on this subject, and I wanted to ask if you are using artificial intelligence or anything at this point.
Yes, I use it. I use it not for my show necessarily. Not for my show at all, really. but I do use it.
What are you using it for?
Thumbnails.
If you don't mind doxing
thumbnails
yourself.
on the Bond Clips channel.
And
I found a trick to make it look not so obnoxious. I say pen and ink and watercolor loose style. That way it turns it into like an art little drawing painting thing. And then it's
you don't want it all perfect and polished.
Yeah, because they have weird body parts. Their fingers are all messed up, and it's disturbing when you don't designate a style. It makes it lifelike, and it's creepy, and nobody likes it.
Yeah, and as far as I understand, there's a few versions of this stuff.
Right.
I'm very new to this, so I recently heard not a competitor of you, but another podcaster. He's more in the entrepreneur world.
Okay.
And they had a young guy who came in, and he was talking smack about us millennials.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys are using it for thumbnails and making pictures and stuff, and we're over here making like $10,000 a week. And at first I was like, damn, this kid's got kind of an attitude, but the host of the podcast was saying it's kind of about time for us older guys to think of a practical way to be using it for business.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I've always been against it because I do more like art, obviously. But it finally all clicked yesterday, and like I'm working on my first video right now where I'm using AI to basically generate the images, and if you imagine like a slideshow that changes with the riffs and everything, and it goes along with the lyrics and everything.
Oh, cool.
And I'm finding that
nice.
Yeah, so like instead of just a video of me playing drums and guitar and stuff, which gets boring after 50 of them, like I'm finally able to like make a theme with the lyrics and the imagery, and I don't know, I'm just like, I guess excited or whatever. But it's cool to like it speeds up the whole process for me.
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
What the guy was saying, like to use it for output, to increase your output in speed, not necessarily to like press a button and have it do everything for you.
Yeah,
which I'm not about that at all. But that's cool that you were saying how specific you got with it to make it look less fake. That's pretty much the route I'm going, is being real nitpicky with it.
Yeah. You know, I do sometimes use it for like song and music tips sometimes if I'm interested in, what's the best Sly and the Family Stone songs, because Sly died recently, rest in peace. And so like stuff like that, it gives you little tips. Some people use it for like descriptions and things like that, or letters and words and things. Essays and things like that. But you have to go back and correct it. And
I was gonna say, does that come out like correct?
It comes out oftentimes, sometimes pretty well worded, but also stale and overly fair-minded, and just there's people who call out tweets as being AI made, and I think that they're right sometimes. So, yeah.
Do you think we're gonna go to hell for using it because it's the Antichrist?
No. People were saying that about Social Security. The Social Security number is the mark of the beast. You got the number.
I missed that one.
Yeah. That was way back.
Funny.
That was in the early 90s or late 80s or something. Maybe before that. People were saying that about the vax. I don't know, the vax cards. I mean, I'm not for the vax necessarily, of course, but yeah, all kinds of stuff.
This is the first time I was thinking, okay, like, am I really consulting with the demon here, as they say?
It is evil.
It's just,
AI is
if
evil
it's just
and
making
liberal.
slides for a video, I don't think that's
right.
Not, I'm trying to not use it in an immoral way. I'm trying to use it in a practical and moral way.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's cool. I'm finally like getting with the times, I guess.
Cool. What's a shame too is that you don't really appreciate really nice photography anymore, especially if it's touched up and perfect quote unquote perfect because you just think it's AI and you're not impressed with God's beauty and nature anymore.
Bro, people are wording it with music right now. Like, I'm sure people are noticing that there's a big emergence of country hip hop. It's making its wave again.
Oh,
And you have all these white trash trailer park white people that are rapping now. And
yeah.
they download their little AI country song, and it's despicable, Hake.
Right. I've
that.
played some AI songs because Jake Hudson.
Your AI songs are good though. Like the country one that you had, I actually like that one.
Right on. The Hake.
And then there's a female rap one, or is that real?
Oh. There's a female. I don't think I have any female rap ones that are AI. There's you're talking about Adriana? I always say Adriana.
Whoever that is, if it's a human or not, it's a black female rapping, and it's about Hake, and I like it.
Oh, okay, nice. I won't dox her race.
Okay, I can just tell from the voice.
Nice.
But that's about the AI. And then last thing, real quick, just want to wrap up. Social media's got this big stigma. I have a friend who's having a little crisis right now. You know, I'm gonna turn all my stuff off and go away for a little while. It's like you're not changing the world by doing that. Nobody cares.
Right.
What I would say, the way that I could apply that for you, not that you're not like against social media, but the other day they were talking about like turmeric and all these supplements. I was like, well, Hake doesn't know about any of this stuff because he's not mindlessly scrolling enough. Because if he was sitting there scrolling reels, he would have known about turmeric and methylene blue and lion's mane and all sorts of stuff.
That's true. I've seen hints that there are such health tips on TikTok and IG and maybe even YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. That's true. I would have known.
Careful with that, though.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, I've shown an AI thing about the IQ of octopuses being higher intelligence than some blacks. Because blacks are supposedly 72 IQ and octopuses are 73, but that may be totally fake news. So you do have to be careful.
Some of those insects, I think, are a lot smarter than they had in there too. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah, I definitely encourage people, don't listen to what they say. Go ahead and spend a few hours mindlessly scrolling, because you're bound to come across some health advice.
That's true.
Save your life, possibly.
I definitely have come across. I have scrolled a little bit. And I have come across good like stretching tips that I've incorporated into like my morning, and it's nice. So
and the thing about it is, you only get that one opportunity. If you don't scroll, it's gone.
That's true.
It's gone. All right, Hake, you have a good day.
You as well, man. Alex in California. Very cool. Very, very cool. Turmeric is poison, says evil is still real. Turmeric or turmeric or whatever you call it. I personally like turmeric, but I've never heard that, I don't know. Is poison filled with oxalates, says he. And others say that turmeric, honey, and black pepper and honey, I already said honey, mixed in hot water is good for you when you're getting sick. But I just don't know. Because people do fall for things. People think that you can just rub rosemary into your hair and it'll save your hairline. People are such suckers. I'm sometimes surprised at you guys. But then again, I'm a sucker too. I'm quite, gullible? I heard that gullible was not considered a word for a long time while it was being used. And then eventually now it is in the dictionary, probably. The dictionary is so liberal and untrustworthy. You just don't know what to believe. And the dictionary is fake news. And so are don't know what to believe. That's part of the reason why we do the disclaimers, because even in the information presented by people who are into telling the truth, we don't know. Nice. I have some things to cover, actually. And let's see if we can get to them. I didn't get to all the news today on the Hake report. On the Hake news section. Let's see. Is this today? There was a fireball, a sonic boom, a meteor. Some people were asking if it was space junk over in the southeast that people saw yesterday, Thursday afternoon. Wow, cool. Let me just show that to you. If you mosey on over. Hopefully this doesn't block me. See that? Should I play it? Oh, boy. Mute it for a second. Because it's probably going to show a commercial, and I hate those. Oh, no. Yeah. No commercial. Hopefully. I'm such a boomer with this. Let me zoom in. Fireball spotted over the... Oh, Lord. Over the southeast United States may have been caused by a meteor. Somebody suggested that it, like I said, that it was space, that it could have been space junk. Was it a meteor or was it space junk? Space is real, guys. Here's the proof. Dashboard camera video shows a big flash of light falling from the sky in Lexington County, South Carolina on Tuesday. The source is Brenda Eckerd. See, there it is. Whoa, you see that? Let me play it again. Okay, that's a reflection. And it just comes down. Woo, nice, huh? Interesting. So hopefully it doesn't play something else that's obnoxious. It didn't play any sound. A rarely seen daytime fireball may have been dropped by a meteor spotted across the southeast Thursday. Oops, I spit. You guys see that? Don't spit in the studio. I think it landed on, yes, it landed on my laptop, so we're clear. The main thing. Creating a sonic boom that blared through the region. Back when I was a kid, we used to have some sonic booms. I haven't heard one in a while that I'm aware of. American Meteor Society received numerous reports of a fireball over the region. It kind of twirled down. The reports came during the Boutids, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, meteor shower, a lower-level meteor shower ongoing this week, according to the American Meteor Society list. There's a whole society around meteors. I mean, it's fun. Explain that. Are there any flat earth or space deniers who know about meteor showers? They can predict them. I once asked if there's any space deniers who can predict the heavenly events, the events in the heavens, the way that the space believers, the space knowers, space seers can predict. As Kevin Howe points out, they don't have a model. They don't really have a workable model for the flat Earth, for the stationary Earth, or for the space stuff that I know of. Not that I've researched it. But their explanation for the sundown, the sunset, it makes zero sense. The spinning ball explanation is far more consistent with what's right before your eyes, what's right in front of your nose. Anyway, Mike Hankey said that a daytime fireball causes sonic boom, usually indicative of a meteor dropping a fireball, but not always. Awesome. Cool. Nice. So, space. Sorry, guys. I get excited about space and ball Earth and stuff. I like nature, and nature's God. Well, I don't know. U.S.-Iran, there's all this drama about the extent of the damage. Basically, it reminds me of Trump and his crowd size claim, right? It's basically, who cares whether there was great damage or not much damage? Trump makes a claim, they try to deny it, and they're all into whether it's true or false or what the truth is. Trump usually turns out to be kind of right, but sometimes, he exaggerates or whatever, and it's not important. But they're dumb. Talk about being caught up in lame-o intellectual mess. They're not concerned with the truth. They're concerned with facts. And facts are not truth. They distract you from the truth. CNN and New York Times, it's being threatened with a lawsuit by the Trump administration over there, trying to counter-signal Trump. Counter-signal. I learned that from a radical Jewish hater of his fellow people. Typical. Anyway, Planned Parenthood can't sue South Carolina. Speaking of, was that South Carolina where that happened? I forget. Doesn't matter. One of the Carolinas. For pulling Medicaid funding. Medicaid? You should get rid of Medicaid entirely, maybe, right? No? There's drama over Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I feel like they're leaving out one of his names. But he's back in the United States and charged with human trafficking. There's updates on the Minnesota shooting. There's still in the news, apparently. Did you know there's a company called Trump Mobile? Huh. They had to remove Made in the USA at some point. Bill Moyers died. He was like a Clinton or somebody? Carter? He was like a journalist who was also like a somebody. I don't know. I recognize that name, but rest in peace. 91 years old. I don't want to get into like what he was that much. 41,000 people in 2023 died from falling. You know, you fall, you break a hip, and you're elderly, you may never recover. You may catch pneumonia or something. You go to the hospital. Hospitals are dangerous because there's a lot of germs there. People get sick at hospitals. You go to the hospital and you get sick. You do the math. And they try to keep it better, but they don't. So there's a lot of sick people go there and you get sick over there. So you want to be fit, you want to do your squats or whatever, even if it's no weight, do them nice and slow maybe. Health advice from Hake. So you and keep fit, not too fat, not too skinny either. And keep your wits about you and don't be going to precarious places as an old person, you know? You go to a precarious place, pardon me, but hilly places, we have to climb up these hills, and it's a little precarious even for a young person, or at least me. I'm like, whoa. You just put a little sand on that pavement on the hill, and you could slip. So people fall, and so the fall didn't kill them, but, you know, they just start to decline because, you know, you don't necessarily recover. So older folks, and people in general, you don't want to just be falling. I used to think that I was fine with falling. And then one time I fell, I landed right on my shoulder as a young man, too. I was like 16 years old, maybe. 17, more probably 17. I broke my collarbone. I got up, I'm like, oh, I hope I didn't dislocate my shoulder. Sure enough, it was my collarbone just busted, like disconnected like this. You see this? Watch. And now it's like this. I had a football coach. He was a football coach, but he was also a track coach. He says it heals back stronger. Yeah, so if you try to punch me in my collarbone, you'll hurt your hand. I'll be fine. Don't try it. It heals back stronger. But my friend who's ignorant called me, ignorant is a woman word, Lin Yan Chin said yesterday. He called me fragile. You're fragile. You broke your chest. I didn't break my chest. I broke my collarbone. It's the easiest bone in the body to break practically. Hake is Mr. Glass. I shouldn't be doxing my past medical issues. But yeah, I broke my collarbone. I started walking around a lot. It messed up my track season senior year, but I was fine with that. There was a lot of other drama going on with the track team and coaches and stuff at that time. We love drama when we're young. I remember coming back and seeing my coach, and on that day, it must have been April 20th, 1999, and that was the first school shooting that I was aware of, and that many were aware of, the Columbine. Oh, and there's this Missouri mother who's doing all this drama over, speaking of health, Medicaid and GOP cuts. Do we want to hear her? Do you want to read her quote? Because this Medicaid getting cut, Medicaid, I don't know what Medicaid is. It has to do with subsidizing people's medical expenses, basically. Missouri parent, so I don't even know if it's a really a mother. I'm calling it a mother, though. Called Courtney Leader. Sounds like a woman's name. Leader's an interesting last name, but shout out. Don't harass her. Don't dox her. This is not a luxury, this person says about the GOP's proposed cuts to Medicaid. I do not have my daughter enrolled in Medicaid so we can have fancy things. I have my daughter enrolled in Medicaid so we can keep her alive and keep her at home, which I think is the best option for her. Sorry, I shouldn't mock her. But it's basically, you're spoiling people. That's what it is. And now when you threaten to take away their stuff, they get all mad and up in arms about something that's not even theirs. Because there are other ways to take care of the daughter. You know what I mean? Hake, did you yell, help, I've fallen and I can't get up? No, I got up right away. Because I always get up right away. Playing soccer. Hurting myself. It's happened more than once, too. Terrible. Oh, man. But basically, that's drama speech. Women shouldn't be worrying their pretty little heads. Dang, Hake, chill. I know. Ladies and people got their medical issues, but this is just kind of emotional blackmail, people sometimes call it. Because Medicaid never should have been there in the first place. Medicaid is probably why, among the things that is driving up the costs of so-called health care. You know what I mean? When you subsidize something, you're making its prices go up. That's a fact. Look it up. I learned that from, speaking of women, the great late Eagle Forum lady, Phyllis Schlafly. One of the principles espoused by Eagle Forum, Hake needs life alert, is that when you subsidize housing costs and prices go up. Duh. All right. So that's the news. I don't care about that. You know what else I don't care about? Trump using Juneteenth. Oh, Lord, what did I just do? Trump used Juneteenth to denounce non-working holidays. Some political observers say it wasn't a coincidence. And that was published a few days ago, just a few days ago. It feels like such old news, but it's just a few days ago. Talk about being into yourselves, by Nikhil Terry Ellis. Don't harass her. Looks like a woman. I'm calling it a her. We're going with her. Trump used Juneteenth to denounce non-working holidays. Indeed, he did. Look at this evil. This is part of the reason that I wanted to cover this. Look at this evil picture. If you're watching the video stream, I'm looking at a picture posted on CNN. It's a photograph by Octavio Jones of Reuters. Shout out. Residents of the historic Pullman neighborhood celebrate Juneteenth and its families. Beautiful looking black families, right? Men, women, children. But it's not so beautiful because they're wearing black. They're showing this ugly, evil, nasty black nationalist colors on the flag. It says Juneteenth. The black nationalist colors being, I guess, black and red, yellow, and green. Red is for blood. Yellow is for they're yellow-bellied and scared of racism. I made that up. And green is for the land or something that they think that they need, displaced from, and there's these, look, it's like a otherwise dignified looking, middle-aged, roughly my age, plus or minus, probably older, black men. And look at this beautiful little black girl, beautiful little black children with the lady, and they're hand in hand. Family looks nice, right? Communism, brainwashing into their blackness. Evil. Juneteenth, that fake holiday from hell, except if you're in Galveston. But even in Galveston, it's basically a white thing where they kiss up to the blacks, because Galveston, Texas is where they found out that they were freed, quote unquote, after, now they're slaves to slavery, as the great Big Bump, B-I-G-G, B-U-M-P, new word, right? Says they're slaves to slavery. They're blind, brainwashed, fallen into the blackness, and they're like nice, decent people looking, right? Sort of. But that's hell. Ugly. Talking about the flag, right? The banner that these two men are carrying. I shake my head, brainwashed into the blackness. And Trump is all, we can't really afford all these holidays. People don't want them. Too many non-working holidays in America, costing the country billions of dollars. Social justice activist, meaning not justice, Glenn Harris, the great Jewish comedian who was on the JLP show, Evan Sayet, S-A-Y-E-T, maybe 2 T's, said when you put social justice, it means not justice. Stuff like that. Harris said the comments coming on the federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States were consistent with Trump's most recent policies and practices working against, she claims, or this person claims, Glenn, G-L-E-N-N, maybe a male, people of color. What he doesn't realize, this person doesn't realize, he's the president of Race Forward. I've heard of them. I think that's a Soros-funded thing. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm mixing it up with one of the other ones. The website looks like the one that was. They all look the same, so it's hard to say. But anyway, what these pro-black so-called people realize is they are anti themselves and anti-truth and anti love. They don't have love. Army Major Gordon Granger went to Galveston, Texas to tell the slaves they were freed in 1865, more than 2 years after Abe Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. Yeah, because he did it, and which may have been misguided. In 2021, evil Joe Biden, a phony kiss-up to blacks, and he always has been, designated a federal fake holiday from hell. 1 year after the nation faced a racial reckoning sparked by the murder of George Floyd. First federal holiday to receive approval since the other fake black holiday, which I didn't ever know that I had a problem with until I realized what a phony it all was, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Established in 1983 under Reagan. He's like, I'm going to do this, and then later on you may find out he was a communist, I don't know. Something like that. Civil rights activist Opal Lee. And there were disgusting, degenerate black Democrat politicians pushing for MLK Jr. Day. Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. Lord have mercy. All these evil, phony people, that's called kiss-up culture. Kiss up, make them feel good for hating white people and thinking that slavery is an influence on their life. It's ridiculous. So, Juneteenth. And Trump is your best friend, you just don't know it. You silly blacks. It's true. You should listen to the whites who can see through this mess. That's why another reason why I love boomers, because although they are brainwashed into kissing up a little bit, they can still see through the mess a little. David in Ocala, Florida. Speaking of boomers, I think he's the young boomer. David, thank you for calling and holding, man. What's up?
Hey, first year of Generation X, man.
Okay, you're Gen
65.
X. Is this
Yeah,
new? I thought that you were a young boomer.
No, we talked about this before. The boomers in '64, and I was born in '65.
Okay.
But anyway.
You're right.
Yeah,
so you're Gen X. You do seem Gen X.
Yeah, but I got boomer in me too, man.
Indeed.
You know, a lot of my
So do
friends,
I.
I hung out when I was like 12. I hung out with kids that were like 16, 17. So they were
That's right.
boomers.
I had siblings
Yeah.
who were Gen X. That's why I relate to the Gen X.
Yeah. So
Or half.
yeah, they you know, them blacks think they're special. That's why they got to have a whole month of this nonsense. You know, could you imagine if white people had a whole true month, not just Jesse's white month, but a real white month for white people? They'd go crazy.
Yeah, and what's funny is whites don't even really want one in most cases, because that's a hallmark of being white, is you're not really into that identity stuff that much.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it just doesn't matter. You know, it's like the gay pride junk. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I totally know what you're saying.
That's like there's this Star Wars thing from what was it? The Family Guy deal. Okay, and it's a whole thing where the whole family is like on Star Trek and everything like that. I mean, not Star Trek, but Star Wars. You know. And so it starts out with the writing and everything, and it goes, a long, long, long time ago in the past, before the gays were jamming it down our throats.
Yeah.
I saw that. Anyway, I called you about that Karmelo Anthony kid.
Karmelo Anthony. You're talking about the young man who allegedly stabbed Austin Metcalf to death at the track meet in Texas somewhere. Yeah.
Right. Did you hear or talk about this the other couple of days ago? They indicted him for first-degree murder.
I haven't talked about it, but I did see that he has faced. He went to court and now he's been formally indicted or whatever.
Well, they gathered a grand jury together and they formally indicted him on first-degree murder. But here's the problem: why haven't they picked him up and put him back in jail? He got out on bail on a lesser charge, right?
Oh, I don't know what the charges were back at that point. Interesting. So they haven't put him back in jail, huh?
No, they're like.
Is it still that black female judge?
Huh?
Is it still that black female judge?
I don't know. It just seems weird that if you got if they let you out, you had the bail set up on a lesser charge. If that's the case, I mean, I don't think they originally indicted him on first-degree murder. I don't think they did that. I think it was something else. And now that he's indicted if it's a higher charge, they should yank his butt back in jail and just keep him there until court.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't know what the rules are or the ins and outs. I feel like an ignorant person when it comes to the ins and outs of the specific laws. But I do know that the law and the judges and the juries cater to black criminals. They cater to them. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
They're not harsher on black criminals.
That's why a guy will have.
Like people claim they are. At least not to the extent that people claim they are. Go ahead.
That's why a guy will have 18 felony arrests, and then he finally kills somebody, and they go, oh.
Yeah.
You know?
Even the police and the prosecutors and, these Soros-type prosecutors, like everybody's dumb and liberal and brainwashed and kissing up. It's ridiculous.
Well, hey, let me just run through this real quick, and I'll get off the phone because you brought up that the Muslim guy with the angel thing, you know, and the demon, you know, deal where the guy thought he, you know, I guess he thought he was. He said the guy thought he was possessed by a demon after he spoke to the angel.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that how it went?
Right. Yep.
The Muslim dude. Okay. Well, that's why. Listen, this is like CJ's wrong about the writings of Paul, and you know, it's Galatians 1:8 is where it says, "If we or even an angel from heaven preaches another gospel than the one we preach, let him be accursed." And that's one of the only verses in the Bible that I know of that's doubled up. In other words, 8 it's repeated. Okay, they repeat that verse twice.
Oh.
Paul did.
Yeah.
He comes right back again and reiterates the same verse, okay? Now, if you notice, two of the most major cults, okay, or false religions had an angel come speak to them, all right? The Muslims did, and so did the Mormons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I know, man. That's why you got to study stuff up. Now, you had asked, you didn't know when Joseph Smith had that angel appear to him, but I typed in the thing. It was 1823. Okay.
Wow.
Now, so what these people believe is that God used to be a man, and he attained godship. Okay, these Mormons did.
Yeah.
And that you can become a god also. One day you're going to get your own planet to live on and have your little babies, and you know, with your wife or whatever. And this is the most blasphemy thing that they say, really, besides all that, is they believe on Judgment Day that they're going to be judged by Elohim. That's what they call God Elohim.
Right.
Elohim, Joseph Smith, and Jesus is going to judge you when you die.
Joseph Smith is like Muhammad level?
Yeah, man. And they're saying, they think.
Does Joseph Smith think he's like
them.
Did Joseph Smith think he was the second coming of Jesus? Or what?
No, but here's the thing. Let me go. When Jesus spoke to Paul, on the road
and again,
to
I don't know if what he's saying is true, chat
I'm
and
telling
listeners.
you what I'm telling you is true.
According to David from Ocala, this is true.
Right.
But I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the Mormons.
Even the Mormons.
Yeah, Mormons.
Yeah, I mean they're nice people, man, but
Right.
they're totally deceived. That's why they're whacking out like Lori Vallow Gayville killed her kids. This Frankie Ruby lady that had her own like TV show tied up her children, and she's in jail now.
And these are Mormon ladies who've done crazy things.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a sign of the times. Like people are sort of products of the degeneracy that's dominant in their cultures. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of.
Anyway. Well, you brought up Jesus on the road to Damascus. You know, that was, not Jesus, Paul on the road to Damascus, you know.
Yeah.
That was Jesus, Almighty God, that stopped him, okay? It wasn't no demon. It wasn't no angel. And here's another thing. See, God picked Paul, and God picked the Israelites. So people, get over it, okay? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
Get over it. God picked Paul, Jesus, and who?
God. Well, he picked the Israelites.
Oh, the Israelites.
Jesus picked Paul, and he picked the Israelites. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you just have to accept that. And anybody that wants to cut out the books of the Bible that Paul read, in other words, here. CJ, I wrote this in the chat board. CJ's that kid in class that was always arguing with the teacher.
Yeah. But don't you kind of like and respect that kid in the class? Even though he may do it too much. But there is...
Well, if they didn't
it is
do it
good
too
to
much,
question...
Okay.
What's that?
If they didn't do it too much, it's okay. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But when
Yeah.
they just sat there and the whole... I've watched the class turn into a 30-minute just montage of the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's partly
Yeah.
the teacher's fault for letting it get so out of control. But
Well,
yeah,
then,
totally.
Yeah, well, you're the teacher, and you don't let it get out of control. You got 20-something minutes on your show.
Yeah, true.
That's why I
Indeed.
told you, you got to get a big clock, man, staring you in the face, bro. So
I have one right
can't
here,
happen.
actually. And I have
You
one right
probably-
here. I got like multiple clock. I don't have my watch anymore. The band broke, and then not just the band, but the whole like connection broke. So I may have to. I don't know.
Here's the thing. Some of the smartest people in the room, they don't say very much, do they?
That's true. The wisest.
Where I'm coming from?
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah, you don't got to go around telling everybody, "Hey, I'm the smartest guy here, baby," and let me tell you why. Because I'm a freaking, engineer. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny, man. Yeah.
That dude probably ain't had a girlfriend. Any girl he done went out on a date on probably said, "Get me out of here." Okay, get what I'm saying? Women don't dig that.
You're getting into speculation about his personal life. That's
I know, but I'm just guessing.
Right.
and I shouldn't
right.
be, but I just somebody's got to tell the kid, "Hey, slow down a bit, man. People will hear you more."
You know what? I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, less is more.
Right.
Right on.
Thank you, David.
Sometimes, anyway.
Yeah. Indeed. Shout out.
All right, man. Y'all have a great day.
All right.
Rock on.
Take care.
Have a good weekend, Hake. Okay.
You as well, man.
All right, buddy. Be good. Bye.
Bye. Let me check for any super chats because sometimes I miss them over on Rumble, and I don't like to miss them. What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? What's up, Dustin? Age of Inversion. Creighton. Piece in the puzzle. Evil is still real. What's up, MX Murderer? Misty, if you're there. Beta Legs, Kilo Alpha Tango. David said it. I was thinking it, says somebody in the D Live crew. That's funny. Hey, Jep. Aries. Argalunas. Just some little shout outs. I'm looking at the people who are in the live chat over here, showing a little bit of appreciation, right? Thanks again, Lin Yen Chin, for the correction on what you actually say. Sometimes when I'm speaking quickly, I may speak inaccurately and imprecisely and even totally wrong. But I know what I meant, and what I meant was right, or I didn't necessarily mean it like that. I was just talking fast or just trying to, whatever. Tyrant Sore is wrecked. And Sandra, what's up over on the Pilled crew? Tyrant Sore is wrecked says that Crishaun is deceptive with his answers. Crishaun, the Dawn of the Misfit Nation. And his comprehension of the Bible is suspect. Interesting. Says the distinction about lobbies, foreign lobbies, IPAC or APAC, I don't know how to pronounce it, AIPAC, is the only lobby not required to register as a foreign lobby. And JFK blocked them from lobbying in D.C., and he was removed, quote unquote, meaning assassinated, by somebody we don't know, or I don't know what the motive was. And Johnson was adamantly pro-Zionist. Whoa. Lyndon Baines Johnson. It was interesting hearing Bill Lockwood, who I think he counted even Nixon as an internationalist. Maybe it was less worse than some of these others. If that's a proper way of saying it. Wow. Okay. The Fallen State's coming up soon. The Fallen State with Jesse Lee Peterson and that gal, Lilly Gaddis. Do you guys get overexcited about women, or do I hate women? They're hard to listen to sometimes, but I like hearing from the ladies. Call in, ladies. You're welcome. You are heard on Hake. But some of these female hosts, I was like criticizing Candace a little bit, Owens, a competitor. And Lilly, I agree with probably everything that she says, maybe. I don't know, to a point. But I couldn't see listening to them regularly. I don't know. Whatever. But the Fallen State, do catch it. Coming up. With Lilly Gaddis. Lilly. Many times it's one L. But in her case, it's two L's. Gaddis. She did a pretty good job over on Piers Morgan with that interview that I had mentioned. I referenced it earlier at the beginning of the show, you know? It has nothing to do with her speaking against Israel. It has more to do with her know-it-all, shrill woman voice. It's not even shrill. It's just like a woman voice, like listening to a woman. It's like listening to a woman preach is listening to a woman talk about politics. And part of the reason I got into politics or interested in politics was there was a woman, a young lady, who was talking about politics. And I wasn't irritated then, but she seemed irritated. I don't know. Anyway, nails on a chalkboard, says Dustin. Yeah, I've had women call in talking about the Jews and stuff, and there was somebody in the chat, in the comment, this was years back, and he said, women doing this is cringe. He might have said, and cringe is not the right word, it's a Zoomer word. Cringe-worthy. Men don't cringe. So, anyway, we love women if we love anybody. Oh, why did I do that? Anthony in SoCal is on the line over here. Anthony, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well, Hake. How you doing? Happy Friday, man.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for taking my call. What were you saying at the earlier part of the show? Sorry, I tuned in right when you were making that statement about Paul and David added on to it, but I just didn't catch the original part.
Evil is Still Real left a super chat yesterday in Rumble that I had missed when you told the story of that Muslim person or Muslim character saying that the Muslim person thought that he was had talked to a demon. And so Evil is Still Real in the chat, also known as CJ, doxed, said that Paul also thought that he saw a demon when he was on Damascus. But I don't know if he did think that or if CJ's just saying that or what.
Gotcha. Okay, and that's the CJ that made the that I was responding to previously.
I don't remember, but CJ is a Paul denier, and he said that Paul, Joseph Smith, and Muhammad all basically have the same story. Some son of God or angel appeared to him.
I see. Let me make two not corrections, but just to reply. So the story I was talking about yesterday wasn't just some Muslim; it was Muhammad, the founder of Islam. So
right, okay,
it's not just any Muslim, and it's a
Muhammad.
Account.
Yeah,
Muhammad. Yeah. So it's my point is it's not just any Muslim. He's the
So he saw Allah. But he thought it was a demon? Or who did he see? Whom did he see, according to him?
Yeah, so he thought it was the angel Gabriel.
Oh, okay. But he also thought it was a demon?
Well, afterwards, he thought it was a demon. And actually, in the account, the angel Gabriel squeezed him very hard to the point where even he said he was uncomfortable and told him to read. But Muhammad was illiterate and couldn't read. So the demon squeezed him again and said, read. And Muhammad said, I can't read. I'm illiterate. And you won't believe this, Hake. He did it a third time. He squeezed Muhammad again until he couldn't breathe, the account says, and said, read. And he still couldn't read. And so he was basically assaulted by Gabriel.
3 times, that's demonic, right? When you repeat something 3 times, that's to put them in a trance.
You
Not
know,
necessarily totally demonic, but anyway, it's a tactic for letting something sink in.
Yeah, I think it could be also it could be just a perversion of the Trinity. You know how demons try to mock the Trinity, but
I think it sounds like it was a demon or his evil imagination.
Yeah,
or he's just outright lying. I don't know.
He definitely could be. It could be a mental illness at the same time, but also I take the position that most forms of mental illness have a I don't want to say demonic cause, but sometimes they go hand in hand. Not all the time, but they could. But
a lot of people who are, I don't really like the term, but so-called mentally ill, think that they are the second coming of Jesus. They think that they are religious something. It happens a lot, even in like present day.
Definitely. And I'm not making the statement that all mental illness is demonic. I'm just saying that sometimes it can be used for that purpose, perhaps. Another thing I want to make
Jabril. Jabril was, I say that way because Gabriel calls in and he's Muslim. He's Serbian Muslim, and his name is Jabrail. And he sometimes supports. He loves Jesse and me and supports in super chats. That's why I called it Jabrail, because he taught me how to say. He taught me how to say it like that.
Where's your kufi, Hake? You're just missing your kufi, man.
What's a kufi again? Is that a Muslim hat?
Yeah, it's a little cap. That little cap they wear on their noggin.
Nice.
But yeah, you have it on the screen. Yeah, so he's in the cave of Hera. It was his first revelation of the Quran, and he was commanded to read, but he was illiterate.
That is funny.
I don't know why the angel didn't know that.
And so somebody wrote down what he said, huh? The things from Muhammad, because isn't there stuff from Muhammad that are accounts of what he dictated or something?
Yeah, supposedly, after his death, all the Qurans at that time were actually burned by Uthman because none of them were the same. So he said none of these are similar at all. We need to burn all of them. So realistically, none of the Qurans or the words of Muhammad we have today are actually his. And on top of that, Muhammad and Islam makes the claim that the Quran is the verbatim word of God.
Whoa.
Okay, so Christians don't make that claim. Muslims also naively make the claim that the Quran is completely preserved, and historically that's not true. And if it were preserved, you're making your God a drunk for writing something like the Quran, saying it's his words. But another thing I want to add, I mean, it's bizarre, just a comment though. If CJ only adheres to the red letters, why is he using extra red letter sources to back up his claim that Paul actually was encountering a demon? That makes no sense, and it doesn't align with his own standards. So it's also something that's very Muslim of him, actually, because Muslims will reference the Bible to back up their fairy tale claims that they make in the Quran, and at the same time they deny the Bible because the Bible has incriminating facts about Islam. Likewise, CJ is claims to only adhere to Jesus' words, yet uses sources outside of Jesus' words to make arguments. That doesn't make any sense.
I think it sort of does, because when you're making arguments, you're just, you're not necessarily, that's not how you live. That's not the basis of your religion. It's just the basis of history and facts, So I think it's fair, I think. Not that I agree with him at all about Paul. I think I don't know, but I like a lot of the stuff that Paul says, and the stuff that he cites that are contradictions of Paul. They don't necessarily have to be contradictions. They can be, what is that thing? Paradox. It could be a paradox where it's true, but even though it sounds like it's a contradiction. Sometimes people will say stuff that looks like it contradicts something that the Bible says when it's actually not. It's just that words don't always mean the same thing, and statements don't always mean the same thing in the same context all the time.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. But I heavily disagree about only saying that you follow this part of the Bible because you believe it's the only part that's true, while at the same time using other parts that you don't believe are true to support a storyline in the parts that you also don't think are true. It just, to me, it's not very logical or,
Well, let me push back a little bit, because the Bible itself is put together by men, a group of men, right? They put together these different books and letters and scrolls and things, and declared this to be the accepted canonical Bible for Christians. And so if a person wants to question that, I think it's fine to question and even reject, maybe. I don't know. Because that's, like he pointed out, God wrote his word on our hearts. No longer
it's
would
a covenant.
No longer would
he wrote his covenant on our hearts.
Yeah. What's the difference between his word and his covenant?
Because words could have different meanings. There's many other verses where you should be constantly meditating on the Word of God and constantly reading it. And even in the Old Testament, it was constantly read.
But what's the difference between his word and the covenant?
The covenant has
law. Covenant means law, because it also says he wrote his law on our hearts.
Exactly.
And he sent the teacher, the Holy Spirit, to guide us in all truth.
Right, and the part of the covenant isn't necessarily the Bible. It's more of an agreement, or the new laws that Jesus instilled.
But the point is, like, we have the Spirit to guide us in all truth.
Oh, okay. So that means we shouldn't read the Bible?
And so that means what?
We shouldn't be reading the Bible?
It doesn't mean that. Is that
right?
It doesn't mean that we should or shouldn't.
Right.
And so it just means that that means that you don't necessarily need the Bible, and that these men who wrote the Bible, who put together the Bible and decided that that's not authoritative, that's not from God necessarily.
Well, I'll disagree. I mean, I would say that the idea of his words being written on our hearts, or his covenant, or his laws, it's more of the conscience of the Holy Spirit. So when we are confronted with a situation that may be right or wrong, we are convicted by the Holy Spirit because his law and his words are written on our hearts. It's not so much that every single word of the Bible is written on our hearts. And just to
it's just questioning it's just to question the validity of the Bible itself.
Okay.
The Bible was all of the books that are in the Bible, whether true or untrue, were written. All of the scripture was written before anybody put together these books and called them the Bible. Right?
In a sense, I guess,
quite obviously, like factually.
Sense.
Factually, it was all those were all written.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Before it was ever put together and deemed to be the Bible.
In an official book. An official book called the Bible, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And so who are we to say those men who put together the Bible were guided by God and all of that?
Who are we to say that they're guided by God?
Yeah.
Who are we to say that they weren't?
I didn't. Nobody said. CJ is saying that they weren't. I'm not claiming that they were or weren't.
I see. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess so. I'll maintain the Orthodox position that maintains the idea that there's an apostolic succession from St. Peter, and that the early church fathers were basically following the apostolic succession and were influenced by the Holy Spirit to create a canonical text we know today as the Bible.
And so that's a presumption.
It is a presumption, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tradition as well.
Is it unchristian? Does it make CJ or me not a Christian not to agree with that necessarily?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that. And I mean, we disagree on a lot of things. Like, one of them is I don't know if we agree or disagree on it, because you've said many things that agree or disagree, but it's mainly about the divinity of Jesus that we probably disagree on. But I wouldn't say that you're not a Christian, of course. I mean, I have tons of respect for Protestants and non-Orthodox.
Stay close to your phone.
Okay, sorry.
But you understand what I'm saying, though. I'm not disputing that Scripture is nice, whatever Scripture actually is. And I grew up with the Bible. I'm not rejecting it, but I also don't.
Yes,
I
skepticism
also don't call it the Word of God. I never grew up calling it the Word of God. People called it that, but that was an assumption that was put on it. That was a presumption that was put on it. Some of it are words from God, definitely, I think. A lot of it, when I read it, rings true.
Yeah, I treat the text the way Jesus treated it. I mean, Jesus was known as a rabbi. He was very learned in the Torah and Scriptures. He's very well studied, which actually contradicts CJ's statement if he follows Jesus. And I'm not calling just for CJ. I'm just making an example out of him. But so, I mean, that.
But CJ is very well studied too, and it's just because you read doesn't mean that you think that that's what's going to let you know God. He said you don't know God from reading. You know God because God is in you.
Yeah, I don't know if he's I don't think he's well studied. I mean, I think he called one saying he paid for premium grok just to tell him Paul's the Antichrist. I don't know if that's being well studied or not.
Well, I mean, he's definitely read, and he's pretty knowledgeable. Is all I'm saying. That it's not like he's not like Hake, where Hake is just ignorant. He looked up all kinds of things. He looked up what's that guy who died from the fentanyl combined with being arrested and subdued maybe for too long.
Well, as a matter of fact, speaking of that, he made a statement that George and whatever that cop's name was, Chauvin, they knew each other.
Right. And
they worked together.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that true? Do you know?
I don't know. I've heard that, and he's looked into it more than me, so I didn't dispute him on it. I don't know. I disclaim it. I disclaim it, but it may or may not be true. I heard they worked for the same security guard company at like a nightclub or something. I don't know.
Well, that would be interesting if they had. CJ would be. If that's right, that would be some pretty interesting facts that isn't in the mainstream. But yeah, sure. I'm sure he's
but he doesn't use that. That's not his salvation. It's not his. It's. You can read a lot. Doesn't mean that you think that that's going to save you.
Of course not. No, Of course not. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I guess I'm taking the assumption that you're being balanced about it, and you're kind of being like fair-minded and having discernment. You're not like plucking your own eyeball out when it causes you to sin, type of thing.
Right.
You're approaching the text with some discernment. But I don't make any claims about others' salvation, and especially the more I listen to this show, the more I realize other people have different views about Christianity and are raised differently. So I've grown to respect that. However, I won't stop, talking about what I believe is true and
nice
my exegesis. One last thing, Hake. Last week there was an attack on a church in Syria.
Damascus, actually.
Yeah, man.
A Greek Orthodox church in Syria. It was a mass shooting. And a
yeah.
suicide bombing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Seems like it was in response to what's going on in Iran, but that's just the Assad regime doing their thing as always. They sent out flyers actually announcing a locale or region of churches they're going to attack this Sunday. So
this coming Sunday?
Yeah, this coming Sunday.
Okay, Syrians,
so keep them in your
listen to
prayers.
Hake. Yeah.
Yeah, but those churches, they're different breed.
Assad wouldn't do that, would he?
I don't. Yeah, you know what? Those are good guys, actually. I think.
Why did you say Assad? That's slander. Oh, no. I don't know, but I thought Assad was Christian friendly, sort of.
Assad?
Yeah, I thought Assad was basically not. Are
you trolling?
No, I'm not trolling. I thought that under Assad in Syria, the Christians were basically got on in peace. It was basically kind of secular, Muslim but secular. That's what I mean by Christian friendly.
It's more Christian friendly than the previous regime, but they're still being brutally repressed. And
well, wait.
Yeah.
What do you mean previous regime? Assad is the previous regime. Assad got kicked out. Remember? I mean, you know more than I do, I imagine. Assad got kicked out. He ran to Russia, I heard, and now there's a new guy. The terrorists or rebels or whatever are now running I don't want to call them terrorists. I'm sorry. But whatever they are, they're like more Muslim, I think.
So
maybe I'm
I get what you're saying. I see what you're saying. The issue is the reason why I dispute that claim is because their practices are the practices are still the same, even though they claim Assad left. So like Assad was there, they had a certain way of repressing people and mutilating people, and then the media says they're gone, they were ran out. But those same methods, those very specific methods are still being used. That's why I dispute that. But it's
So Assad was a bad guy?
Yeah.
Did he really gas his own people? Gas the rebels who were? Because there's been a civil war going on, right? Did he really use biological weapons against the people who were trying to overthrow him or whatever?
Yeah, I was actually looking at that recently. Hake, they had a variety of chemical weapons. It wasn't just one or two. It was like 6 or 7.
Whoa.
Like I don't even when I try to track who produces those chemicals, it's China actually. So I don't know what's going on in that region. And I actually have a friend in Iran, and he told me a few days ago that 2 Chinese passenger jets flew in during the ceasefire, and I have a feeling that they're probably taking their uranium out there that way and selling it to China. That's just my opinion. It's not in the media or anything, but I have a friend that lives there, and he told me they recorded 2 Chinese passenger jets flying in there that day, and they were empty, at least according to his flight tracker.
I got distracted because I have the Fallen State coming up, and
sorry,
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what you just said, but you said something about China, and I don't know. Interesting. I definitely. I pray for those people. In that I wish them well.
Yeah, we pray not not necessarily to change the outcome of something. It's more of to I'll make it short. Hey, I had a friend in college. He had this really expensive fish tank. Like the fish in it were really expensive. Like they were a few $1,000s each. And he was going out of town, and he asked me to like feed them while he was gone. And I was like, dang, these are really nice. He's like, yeah, they're really expensive, but they never, no matter what I do, they just keep swimming in their tank, and they never really acknowledge me. Even when I tap on the glass, they're just fish. They're just swimming. I thought they'd be like smart or whatever. And that kind of reminded me, I'm like, wow, maybe we're just fish in a tank, and God just wants us to just acknowledge him. we're just swimming, doing our thing, and he'll tap on the glass sometimes, and he just wants us to. He just wants to see that we know he's there. And so I see prayer as a way of just acknowledging, hey, God, I know you're there. I trust in you.
Yeah.
Whatever the outcome is. And I just want to make that known to you. That's it. That's kind of how I see prayer. But anyways,
thanks,
appreciate
man.
your time, Nick.
Yeah,
I know I
thank
went
you.
on a lot.
No
Have
worries.
a good weekend.
All right. You as well. Nice. Yeah. The Fallen State is coming up, guys. William in California is on the line over here. William, thank you for calling and holding. How you doing?
Thank you for taking my call, James. How you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. Hot.
Nice.
It's going to be 97 today.
Oh, wow. So I'm glad it's going to be like 80 here.
I'm sitting in the yard right
79.
now. It's like 80. It's 85 right now. It's still a bit early, but
Brutal.
later on about 4
And
o'clock.
aren't you pretty close to the coast or no?
San Fran is, my property is out there, but I live here in the valley.
Ah,
And
the valley does get hot, even over here.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah,
what
it gets
San
hot.
Fernando is going to be. Interesting.
Oh, hot. It's going to be hot there.
Yeah, San Fernando Valley. They call that the Northern Valley here. Yeah, interesting, man. Okay.
Yeah, hot. But are you, happy Black Friday to you.
Thank you, man. Happy Black Friday to you as well.
Did you see Jasmine Crockett talking about her and Al Green and all of them talking about impeaching Trump, and it's like
Al
okay,
Green
right.
is still alive? No, I'm not talking about the singer. Al Green is
that Al Green is still alive. Wolfman, yeah, he's alive.
Yeah, the crazy one. I mean, well, I call him
he's
crazy.
alive.
I'm using the term crazy very loosely. Okay, I disavow.
Remember, Trump kicked him out of the when he had what was that? When he was addressing the nation that night. Remember when Trump kicked him out? Had him thrown, no, I think it was J.D. Vance that had him actually. J.D. Vance, remove him.
Yeah. Somebody had him kicked out because he was being a mess.
Yep.
Typical.
Yep. Well, I don't know what kind of attorneys these guys are, because most congressmen and Senate guys, they're all attorneys. You know that.
Yeah. True.
What kind of attorney is Jasmine Crockett running around talking about impeaching Donald Trump? Let me give you some information.
Okay.
You ought to know you don't have the House of Representatives. You can't impeach him, Jasmine. But you have people that follow you that believe that.
Yeah, right. True.
That's your fan base. That's your voting base. They don't know that you're not telling the truth.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever pull up that Juneteenth cake from Kroger's? Pull up that story about that. You can pull up a few pictures of those cakes. The ones that say free at last.
No, I don't want to do.
They have especially the one with the two hands in the air and the broken chains, and it says free at last. Oh, it's hilarious.
I'm getting a mental picture. It's ridiculous.
Are you tired of winning? Because Trump's, oh my God, we won a big one today, or was it yesterday? The courts, those judges.
Oh, yeah, we got the. Okay, what about the judges?
They can no longer stop it.
Nice. That sounds like good news. And I heard that we can, according to Anchor Baby, we no longer have to put up with anchor babies. They are.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They might be safe. It's just
the current ones maybe grandfathered in, but the ones born starting next year or today, they're no longer considered Americans.
Right, right.
That's a good thing. That's sensible.
So that's going to help him out there down you guys way out there in Los Angeles. I knew when the deportation started that it was going to be quite a mess when they came out here to the West Coast. I just knew that was going to happen. But
right,
I've seen it. It's gotten a little quieter, right?
I heard that. I heard that they're staying in because they're afraid and stuff like that. So
well, they should be afraid. I mean, why would you? Let's just say you lived in Brazil and you were there illegally. And would you take an American flag? And go to their city hall and wave an American flag and you're there illegally, would you think you would keep a low profile and stay away from those protests?
Yeah, I would think that I would. If I were an illegal with any common sense, I would keep
some
a
of
low
them,
profile. I would
yeah,
stay
because
low.
some illegals actually got arrested down there in Los Angeles. Actually, a few of them, a lot of them got arrested. So that's like your automatic deportation.
Wow. Nice. I agree.
Good for you, Donald Trump. Good for you, Donald Trump. Hey, I'm going to let you get to some callers and everything. Make sure you have a nice weekend. Where you going to Santa Monica Beach this weekend?
Maybe so. Maybe so. Nice. Thank you, William. I appreciate it, man.
Take care, man. All right.
You too. Bye. Before I get back to more of the calls, let me read a few of these super chats that I have here in my screenshots. Evil is still real with several supers. Jesus tells us what to do over and over. Oh, no, here, let me do it from reverse order, from proper order. Pretty sure Allah sits in hell torturing souls, pretty much the Satan role of Christianity. Whoa, is that true? Evil is still real said that about what Allah does, which supposedly means God. Depending on which God you're talking about. Evil is still real says, I can argue Paul is the Antichrist using Jesus and Paul, which he has done on my show. Gotta be pretty R-worded, retarded, Ray, to think Paul was in any way teaching what Jesus taught. Says evil is still real. I don't dispute it. Just start making stuff up and justifying what's written on your heart means. If you have to read the Bible, it is because you do not know. James was the head of the Church of Jesus. The Church of Paul is an evil perversion, says evil is still real. Jesus very rarely quotes the Old Testament. He quotes the book of Jasher, which Church of Paul removed. Paul only quotes Jesus once. Paul made up everything he wrote, none of it from Jesus, says evil is still real, who is a Paul denier, okay? Jesus tells us, that presenting his argument, or, some of his statements. Jesus tells us what to do over and over and over again, almost entirely works-based, he says. Paul introduced grace and has deceived almost all, quote-unquote, Christians. Paul is the Antichrist, says evil is still real. Nice. Well, thank you, sir. Or ma'am. No, I'm kidding. I know that CJ's a man. Thank you, man. Jesus says Father in heaven because Joseph was his physical birth father. That's right. Yeah. Evil is still real. CJ called in saying that people added in the virgin birth story. Isn't that interesting? The plot thickens. Huh? I'm not for or against anything. I do find it interesting. Shout out. You can get all up in arms and you can get nervous, but I advise against getting nervous. Don't get nervous. As my Afro-American music history teacher said, or professor said, don't get nervous. Nice. Okay, so I have 5 minutes, a little bit more, but 5 minutes. So let's do 2.5 per person. Ron in NorCal, Northern California. Ron, thank you for calling and holding, man. You got 2 minutes, buddy. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, this is Rob.
Rob, thank you. Rob, R-O-B.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just wanted to touch on the flat earth. Did you happen to watch the videos that I sent you?
No, I haven't found them. I'm so bad with my emails, but I did see that one did come in. So, no, okay. I haven't watched them yet. I'm remiss.
Okay, well, that will address the
sunset
horizon that you see, and how you can zoom in past that and see further than that line that you talk about.
Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say was when they comment and they say flat earthers don't have a working model, that's false. That's not true. They don't have a working model because according to celestial navigation, which is globe team, that our sun is headed towards Vega, and then the Earth the ball spinning Earth is also rotating around the sun as the sun is headed towards Vega. So it's not really making a circle around the sun. It's making a spiral around the sun. And so if you're making a circle around the sun and a spiral around the sun as the sun is going towards Vega, the stars should be different. They shouldn't be the same exact stars in the same exact place every single year. See what I'm saying?
I don't see what you're saying because I can't keep up visually in my mental imagery, in my imagination with what you're talking about. I vaguely have heard of Vega, and so you may not be explaining it well. You may be explaining it well, but I don't see what you're saying. But thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll send it to you to not look at.
I know. Terrible. I made you split an infinitive. Thank you for your dude, and thanks for the reminder. I do want to see this, although I'm still quite. You know me, I'm stubborn, and also I see what I see.
Yeah, totally. One last thing I want to say. I know that I couldn't get in for Jesse real quick. Just had another little advice. If Jesse's sweating and he's hot,
okay,
he can take off his jacket.
Nice. Thank you, Rob.
And then for those blood tests, if you could also get like a D-dimer. What a D-dimer shows is the clotting, micro clotting cascade inside of your blood vessels. All right, that's all I got.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Take care.
Yep, appreciate you. Y'all have a good one. Bye.
All right. And Jermaine in Canada is on the line here. Jermaine, how you doing?
Doing well, Hank. How are you?
Doing well as well.
Amazing. Shout out to Joel for creating Punchie TV because that was on fire, man.
Right? It was pretty cool. I liked it.
Punchie was fire.
On Punchie TV, we covered Stefan Molyneux's take on Christians and forgiveness. Nice. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was
and Bill, the engineer, had some interesting stuff to say at the end.
Oh, yeah. Bill was on fire.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anchor Baby and Derek and yourself. It was amazing.
Nice.
Wanted to touch on, I'm not sure if there was a debate with, I think her name is Ann Coulter.
Yeah.
I'm correct with her name.
Okay, I recognize that name.
Yeah, they were debating immigration policy. It was just interesting to see her schooling the males on the panel.
Yeah.
Which they have some ridiculous take. Which I understand why, but it's fascinating to see a woman leading the man. It's kind of crazy.
She is one woman I don't mind listening to sometimes in terms of hearing her voice is not that obnoxious, and she knows a lot. I've seen her on X and Twitter hating, in my opinion, hating Trump. I'm using the term loosely, which I think she's turned a bit shrill sometimes, but she knows what she's a research fiend, and she knows what she's talking about. She reminds me of an older female version of the great real Vincent James, who also knows his stuff. Maybe she's, I don't know. But I don't know if that's a fair comparison. But, yeah, she's great. Shout out. If any woman is great, it's Ann Coulter.
Yeah. I won't keep up much time because I know you got to end, but
Indeed.
good time with you.
Yeah, good talking with you too, man. I appreciate it. Jermaine in Canada. Take care. Wow, guys, this has been the Hake Report. Shout out to our resident health expert, another woman I shout out, Lisa, over on the Facebook crew. Tyrant Sore is wrecked and everybody. LARPing for cash. Kevin Howe. David says David in the chat, David in Ocala. Anybody who denies the virgin birth is not a Christian, he says. I got to wrap up, everybody. Thanks kindly. The Fallen State is coming up next. And so it's going to be a busy day. And then American Anchor Baby after that. Peace in the Middle East, or at least in your hearts. But that's a tall ask because most people don't even want peace. So true. Take care, guys. See you next week, I hope. Bye. Oh, and church on Sunday with Jesse Lee Peterson. And probably men's forum next week, first Thursday. Bye.